All right, my name is Kent Kilpatrick. I had the pleasure of working with Leisure Services for right at 38 years and just retired 2 weeks ago, but I'd served most of that time as the Internal Services Administrator in the admin office. Was 3 different periods of time. I was an interim director, and then in 2017 became the permanent director up until I retired a few weeks ago. You know, Lake Park was always such a great safe haven for kids, and the people who worked here and how much that they enjoyed and appreciated and served the kids. And I just remember in those early days, because this is one of the first community centers I'd ever been around in my career, and I remember those early days how they not only played with them and entertained the kids, but they fed them, they helped educate them, basically help raise these kids. And I remember being so impressed by that from the very beginning of my time here. A good bit has changed. In 2002, we did a full renovation thanks to SPLOST tax dollars, and it was desperately needed because it was a really drab facility. This one and Herd Park were both just very drab and run down, and not much money had been put into them from the time they were built in the early 70s until 2002. So it was great to be able to see money come in and totally renovate the facility, to upgrade the interiors. Also then to do the most recent upgrade through grant funding to where we were able to paint it, and no longer did it look institutional, but now it looks like a more inviting place. And then just prior to the pandemic, building the teen tech labs up on the 3rd floor, which was such a great addition to that facility. But seeing the fact that it was ignored for so many years, right about 25 to 30 years, the facility was ignored. But in the past 20 years, we've done 2 upgrades in addition to that teen tech lab, and to what's happened outside here where we are now to transpire as far as building a shelter and adding baton courts. And a pool was added not long after the facility was open. So the grounds have changed as well, which was a welcome addition. I do remember back in the day when Willie Hull organized the Family and Friends Days that were here. The more we talked with Willie about it and the more we saw plans, we realized that this was really going to be a neat thing for the community. And then to actually come out and experience it that first year that it took place, was really overwhelming. So many people came that were those that were connected and grew up coming to this facility, and even those around the community that were not regulars but felt like they wanted to come and be part of something special. So whenever he repeated that program, I remember how special that was every year. Resources has always been a challenge at many of the facilities. Here at Lake Park, we were fortunate, both as I mentioned before, SPLOST dollars were able to help doing, with some renovation. Grant funds helped most recently with renovation. But it's always resources. Do we have enough people? Do we have enough programming dollars to be able to meet the community's needs? And luckily, we've been able to address a lot of that, especially in recent years, through our budget process and allocating some funds to make it a priority. This is such a special place that really, as I mentioned earlier, it's not just a place where children can come and play. This is really a safe haven for so many children, and a place that is making lasting memories and lasting impressions. It's molding and shaping kids. A lot of our athletic parks, they come and they go and they participate in great programs. They'll go to an arts center, they'll go to a zoo, and they'll get involved in some great programs, and it'll create some wonderful memories. But at places like Lake Park is where they're coming to truly improve the quality of their life. Sometimes they're coming here to get some of the only meals that they may have, for instance, especially like during day camp. Sometimes they're coming here to get additional education that they may not be able to get at home. Sometimes it's just a friend or advice that they get. So to staff, it's realizing that you're changing lives. You're not just providing fun and entertainment, but you're making a difference in what eventually is going to be the outcome of these young people. that's very impactful, and that's what the community centers do. Well, my early memories of Lake Park is a lot of it was more focused on taking care of the kids, making sure they were safe, that they had some activities to do, and that this was a good place for them to be able to come to be with friends. What's really changed over the years is I've been impressed with how the programs have evolved and how they've developed over the years. And now they're getting to experience things that they've never gotten to experience at these centers before. I mean, look at the Go Beyond program, which in itself is just a tremendous win. And the fact that these kids are getting to go places now and experience things around the city of Atlanta and all around North Georgia that otherwise they would never be able to afford to, or nobody would take the time to let them have that experience. Look at Grand Slam that people begged for years to bring that back. Can we not have that Friday night entertainment to keep kids off the streets? And it was brought back here at Lake Park, and now we have that safe place for kids to come on a Friday night and to really get involved in some fun activities with their peers. Programs have really evolved, the day camp has evolved, and it's no longer just a place to come and be safe, but it's now a place where you can come and learn, and it's a place where you can grow, and it's a place where you can really improve your life experiences. I have such fond memories of working with Willie Hull. Willie was just a tremendous, it was so unique to see how many people looked up to and respected that man. Whenever he opened his mouth, these kids listened. It was amazing to see how tender he was with the kids, but yet firm when he needed to be firm. But he had built respect over the years that has just been unparalleled, and it was amazing to watch him work. And even to this day, he's revered by so many people for what he has accomplished. And it was an honor to be able to name the gymnasium after him a few years ago. I'll say, from being in a former director's role, the fact that Grand Slam was revived, as I mentioned before, there was a lot of pressure from that program once it dissolved in the early 2000s, mid-2000s. There was a lot of pressure to bring that program back. And we were trying to figure out how do we make that work and how do we make it better? How do we, instead of just bringing kids together in one place to just kind of hang out and be there, how do we actually engage them into some meaningful activities? And when Kelly Thomas, current facility supervisor, was presented that challenge, he embraced it wholeheartedly. And he's brought that program back, and it now has a respectable number of teens in there, about as many as they're going to be able to safely handle on a Friday night. And they're having meaningful impact for these kids. And it's great to see that program revive. And so I've really enjoyed dropping in on that each summer for the past several years. Well, I've hinted to several of those things, but the legacy, you can talk to so many adults now whose kids are in our camps or programs that will tell you, I grew up at Lake Park. And they mean that differently. A lot of people say, well, I grew up in leisure services, or I grew up going to Satterfield Park and playing baseball. My own kids say that. But it's different when they talk about coming to a place like Lake Park and growing up. Because as I mentioned, this was their place to come for fun. This was their place to come for education. This was their place to come for safety. Sometimes it was their place to come for food. It is a spot that has changed and impacted so many lives. And I now see it in many adults who will mention to me how much this facility meant to them and how glad they are that their kids are able to come and hopefully have some of that same experience that they had when they were young.